Another one of Trump's cabinet secretaries facing some tough questions about his flights. This time it's Health Secretary Tom Price, who chartered 5 private jets just last week. And trust me, this wasn't Trump Air. These were on the taxpayers' dime. Health Secretary Tom Price today facing tough questions about why he needed to fly on private jets to conduct official government business.
The American people need to know that their tax dollars are being spent wisely.
A fiscal conservative and former member of Congress who once tweeted, quote, "Congress doesn't need to have private jets." But according to Politico, Price took an unprecedented 5 different flights on privately chartered flights last week alone. And the organization he visited said they did not foot the bill. One of those trips, a short 30-minute ride to Philadelphia. $10,000 round trip on a private plane compared to about $700 on a commercial flight and less than $300 on the train.
It's just not right. It's just not right.
Democrats now calling for an investigation.
Is tens of thousands of dollars in spending on private planes a good example of spending government money?
It's not a good example of spending money. It's something that we need to investigate. It's an example of wasteful spending in my mind.
Price makes for the 3rd member of the Trump administration whose travel is under scrutiny. Environmental Protection Agency investigators, they're looking into Secretary Scott Pruitt's frequent trips to his home state of Oklahoma, taxpayers footing the bill. And the Treasury Department is reviewing Secretary Steve Mnuchin's flight to Kentucky on a government jet, a trip where he and his wife viewed the eclipse. Mnuchin also requested a government plane to fly him and his new bride on their overseas summer honeymoon. But he withdrew the request after being told it would look bad. You know, Dominic, listen, Mnuchin's in his own class a moron here. The guy's worth $300 million, and he's trying to, get the government to foot his bill for his honeymoon flight. Okay, but I know everybody's going to be freaking out about the flight to fly 30 minutes. To me, yes, that's bad, and it's a waste of taxpayer money. But it's the hypocrisy that bothers me most of all. These are the same guys talking about draining the swamp. There should be no private jets. Like, we got to look out for the taxpayer. They're the ones saying that, and they're the ones doing this. That's the part that galls me even more than, the 10 grand that he blew taking a private jet when he could have gotten a Acela.
Well, I mean, but this is why we have to cut social programs, right, Richard? We've got to eliminate the safety net because the cabinet members must be able to use their private jet or taxpayer-funded private jets. Now, let's look at this for a second. This guy shouldn't even be the secretary of HHC because he's the same guy, I believe it's him, that bought stock and got caught up in that scandal. But because Republicans control Congress, they said, well, look the other way. You made a lot of money off of buying stock, insider trading. Anybody else would be in jail. But now he's taking taxpayer private planes. If it wasn't so sad, I mean, think about this for a second, Richard. So now let's look. Maybe you guys can help me.
No,
to go from Washington to Philly is what, about a 2-hour drive?
Yeah.
2-hour drive, right?
I'd have done it for $5 grand.
So 10,000.
He'd have been the Uber driver.
Now this is the same thing that Menendez is on trial for right now and is looking at criminal time, and a secretary is doing this. It's outrageous.
I'm going to stay on message from the last segment where you guys handed me my hat.
Okay.
We can't afford this. The country can't afford to be wasting money like this. It's ridiculous. I know a lot of these guys were CEOs. They were used to traveling on private jets, but you're in the government now, and it's taxpayer dollars. We can't afford this kind of junk.
What were they thinking?
It's what were you thinking?
Did 5 times in a week? You couldn't take the train once?
Thinking no one's going to see it, I guess,
but
it's taxpayer money.
Aldermen wouldn't try this. But Andrew, for me, this starts from the top. Okay? And whatever we say, what has been the messaging of Trump right now? Whether it be at Mar-a-Lago, whether it be the First Family trying to hawk Julia like it's a QVC. I mean, I always believe whenever you look at stuff that's happened, now it's 3 examples at least that we've seen, that the buck does stop at the superior, and they create the culture.
Are you talking about Trump monetizing the office of the presidency by having the Secret Service spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on things like golf carts when he goes to his Trump properties, which, by the way, then becomes free advertising for it, or the fact that he skews the rules when it comes to bringing in foreign workers, absolutely opposes it when it comes to the rest of the country. It's America first, except at Mar-a-Lago, where it's a lot cheaper to find people, and they, by the way, haven't really looked for domestic help. I mean,
it's a mistake to connect this to Trump. not because it isn't true, I agree with your analysis, but because it leaves the Trump supporters saying, there they go again. Let's just take a look at this narrow little episode where we took 5 private jets in a week. Let's let it stand on its own merits, not whether
No, you know what? I disagree only because of this. Remember how we all, everybody, and I think the Post, the Daily News, I forget which one, they had a field day when Patterson had the free tickets, when then Governor Patterson went to the Yankee game. And you know what? They should have, right? He shouldn't be, getting tickets on the orange just because you're the governor. Okay. For me, Richard, the idea, how tacky can you be that you're trying to, double bill, in effect, the Secret Service so you can line your pockets as the president? Like you're trying to,
Let me make
to me,
myself
if
clear.
you do that, I know you're not defending it.
defending
I know
it.
you're not. But if you do that, why wouldn't your Treasury Secretary or your Health and Human Services Secretary or the other one say, why don't I do it too?
If it's FEMA trying to get to an emergency, yes, something like that.
I would never
no
say
problem.
a word. I
Exactly,
wouldn't waste a
But
second
are
of
you
this program.
suggesting that Price and
Pruitt and,
not Mnuchin. He's
yeah.
I put him in a different class with all this because he's in
my
a different
God.
class with all this. But you think they actually thought maybe I should think twice about getting this plane, but since Trump's the president, I mean, I'm not sure
I
how
just
that.
think it's an atmosphere that if you create right now where you say, you know what, now that I'm here and I'm taking $1 as a salary, which the president is, I'm going to basically do what no other predecessor does, whether it be at Trump Tower, Bedminster, Mar-a-Lago. I'm going to rack up numbers like nobody's business. They'll do the golf carts or whatever. Now you're Mnuchin and you say, I'm doing a public service to this country because now all of a sudden I'm not taking a salary when I left big money on the table at Wall Street. And you know what? I am taking a private jet on the government's dime to take me to Fort Knox so I can go look at the eclipse with my wife. And then I'm going to have them take me on my European 8-city tour, and they're going to pay for it. And she shows all the freaking things. Exactly. It's that they feel entitled to it, which is the nauseating part to me.
So what separates David Patterson from these guys?
$40 billion.
He shouldn't
What
have sat
else separates David Patterson from all of these
It is
Trump
27
guys?
minutes past, but yes.
David Patterson happens to be what?
27 minutes.
David Patterson happens to be what?
You're slowing down.
No, I didn't want to
Visually impaired? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he's visually impaired.
How long would the hearings have gone on in the House if somebody in the Obama administration had done this? It would have been weeks of hearings to try to get to the bottom of the whole thing.
kind of thing
What
happens on both
about
sides.
ism is a mistake?
Yeah, it's the arrogance of power. It's not.
don't-
It happens on both sides.
Don't get off message. His use of the jet itself was offensive.
I want to
Stay
ask you
there.
to name names, okay? I want to ask any of you to name names. Do you know somebody in elected office that would have even tried to get the state or feds to pay for a private jet to take them on a honeymoon?
No.
I don't know anyone who would do that.
I do.
Do you?
I have 3 names in mind, but I can't tell you who they
Are
are.
any of them in jail right now?
No.
One comes out in a couple of weeks, right? Hurricane spot. All right, coming up next, calls for more safety netting after a young girl hit in the face by a screaming live drive at Yankee Stadium yesterday. Now, the Mets have already done it at Citi Field. Will and should the Yankees follow suit? We'll talk about that after this.